Good afternoon, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. What is going on, everybody? What is going on? It's your boy Darion, and we are live, ladies and gentlemen. We are live for episode 11 of the Darion Hopkins Show, and I am your host, Darion, of the Darion Hopkins Show. And I am so happy to be here. I am so happy to be doing another episode of the Darion Hopkins Show. It's crazy that I am on the 11th episode of this segment. Make sure y'all hit that like button to subscribe to the channel. If you are watching on the YouTube channel, if you will be listening to this on the podcast, which is the audio version of the Darion Hopkins Show, make sure you check out Spotify at Darion Hopkins Show and on Apple Podcast at the Darion Hopkins Show. Make sure you follow me on Twitter and Facebook, and Instagram, all at the D Hopkins Show. We have a great show for y'all today. Great show. A little bit of NFL, a little bit of college basketball, a little bit of NBA, a little bit of XFL as well. But I want to start the top of the hour with this topic that I didn't even have on the actual show. And I found out about the whole NCAA, not the NCAA, the NAACP award with Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union, talking about Zaya Wade. Now, we all know Zaya Wade has been living her life as a trans woman, as a trans girl, because she's still coming into herself. She started, mentally transitioning into the girl that she wanted to be. And a lot of people that know me and a lot of people that don't know me, that kind of hits home because I'm a transgender male. And I'm just throwing it out there to keep it short and sweet and keep it very transparent as I can. And the ways are praised from, Zaya Wade's and her bravery and her courage to come out and be the girl that she wants to be, to grow up to be this young woman that she wants to be. And I heard a lot of backlash from it. I heard a lot of backlash about, oh, you could change your name, that's okay, but you don't change your gender marker. Do you know how much of dysphoria that is when you change your gender marker? You know how much that is when you have a female name, but you have male on there, or you have a male name and, you have female on there. So I'm kind of confused with Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union did wrong. All they doing is doing activism for the LGBTQIA community. And they was end up getting the NCAACP award. And I encouraged them for that. I admire them for that, for standing up for their daughter and human rights, not just in the Black community, but in all communities. But especially our Black community, is always something happening to us. And as a transgender man of color, this really hit home. Like I said, this is not just a sports podcast, ladies and gentlemen. This is definitely just not a sports podcast. I speak on how I feel on certain situations. And this situation here is that I'm going to play y'all the audio of them accepting the award at the NCAACP. Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union on the behalf of Zaya Wade. Zaya Wade is a young girl that's coming into herself. She is a Black, beautiful, trans girl. And I understand that she's going through her younger years at 15, about to go into high school and stuff of that nature. But I stand behind her, and I always have, since she came out as a trans girl, that she wanted to be a girl. And I stood by that 100%. I don't think Dwayne Wade, I don't think Gabrielle Union is doing this for publicity. Absolutely not. They doing it because they want rights. They doing it because they want it the right way for activism, to be heard. Because my community is not heard at all. My community is ignorant to transgender people. Very ignorant. And I can't stand it at all. They're ignorant and uneducated. when it comes to Zaya Wade, when it comes to transgender people in the black community. Yes, the black community, I'm talking to you. Because I wanted to address this, because I felt as though it was right to. As a transgender male, all the backlash that little girl gets because she wants to be who she wants to be. And people think this is a publicity stunt for Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union because they support their child. It's a lot of trans kids out there. It's a lot of gay kids out there. It's a lot of lesbian kids out there. There's a lot of trans parents out there that there's a lot of trans people out there wish that their families could be as supportive as Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union. Period. And I wish when y'all listen to this, what I'm about to play right now, I hope y'all learn something from it. Let me play this for y'all though.
Thank you guys for that ovation. We don't stand up here alone. As we know, it takes a village, it takes a community. We stand up here today as two people who have worked tirelessly to have resources and access. As two people willing to use our microphones for what we believe and what other families are going through. I'm intentional when I use my platform. I recognize what I've been given, and it is my job to uplift the voices of others and share my access and resources. I want to take this moment to publicly speak to our daughter, Zaya. Zaya, as your father, all I've wanted to do was get it right. I've sat back and watched how gracefully you've taken on the public scrutiny. And even though it's not easy, I watched you walk out of that house every morning as yourself. I admire how you've handled the ignorance in our world. I admire it that you face every day. To say that your village is proud of you is an understatement. Thank you for showing me that there's more than just one way to communicate effectively. You've taught me that communication with my mouth isn't enough. I have to also communicate with my 2 ears and my 2 eyes. As your father, my job isn't to create a version of myself or direct your future. My role is to be a facilitator to your hopes, your wishes, and your dreams. Zaya, you've made me a better human just simply by being who you were born to be, our baby girl, Zaya Wade. So baby, thank you for showing the world what courage looks like. I'm proud that I was chosen to stand in place as your father. And thank you so much to the NAACP for this incredible honor.
Now listen what Gabrielle Union has to say. Listen to this.
The NAACP, it's humbling to stand here surrounded by friends and heroes, OGs and icons, all working to advance the lives of Black people and pay respect to an organization that has led us through over a century of relentless challenge, pain, triumph, and change, and now stands with us again at the foot of a very new era of activism. A new era that demands our collective answer to one simple question. Will we fight for some, or will we fight for all of our people? Let's just name a couple hard truths. First, the intersection of Black rights and the rights of the LGBTQIA, trans, and gender nonconforming people continues to be rough. It's a huge understatement. Even as we demand equality at the top of our lungs, we consistently fail to extend our advocacy to protect some of our most vulnerable among us. And second, Black trans people are being targeted, terrorized, and hunted in this country. every day, everywhere. And there's rarely a whisper about it. We honestly don't approach this work as activists or leaders as much as we do this as parents. Parents who love our children and will do whatever the hell we can to keep them seen and secure and safe. This is a conversation worth having in ways that can actually build bridges, right? They don't fan the flames of hatred or division. They don't enable lawmakers or justice systems to look the other way when Black trans people are under attack. They don't drive more young people to hate themselves or harm themselves. They don't cost people their lives. So we are humbled and we are hopeful for the future. We are hopeful that we may witness a real shift in the fight for justice. The moment the movement makes room for everyone. Everyone. Thank you.
And that's what Zaya and that's what Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade had to say about the rights in our Black community. Are we going to fight for some, or are we going to fight for all in our community? Do we pick and choose who we support and who we want justice for? Do we pick and choose who we want to celebrate? Do we pick and choose who to get justice for? Do we pick and choose as Black people who gets killed and who's don't? As a person that's in the LGBTQIA, us as Black people has picking and choosing in our own community. We always want Black justice. We always want Black justice. Justice for this person, justice for that person. But when it comes to a Black trans person like myself, or a Black trans woman, or a gender non-conforming person, where's the justice at in that? Where is say they name then? Because they human just like us. They are humans just like me. Trans folks' name, especially in the Black and Latino community, will not be silent. Will not be silent. And coming from that speech from Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union, I stand behind everything that they absolutely said. Everything. Because at the end of the day, us as trans people need to be spoken, which we are, but we need to be heard too, from not just our community, but from all communities, but especially our community, because that's where the lack of support is at. That's where the lack of support is at. And that's in the Black LGBTQIA community. If you want other people outside of our community to support us, but how can we do that when we don't even support ourselves? How can we do that in the Black community in general? No matter if it's cisgender, transgender, gay, bi, lesbian. We can't even be ourselves because we have to live up to a stigma of what people think we're supposed to be in society. Zaya Wade took the courage and the bravery to be the person that she wanted to be. And that's why Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union got that award at the NAACP award. I'm proud that they got that award. Shout out to the Uncle Clifford from P-Valley. He won an award. Shout out to him too. Because at the end of the day, this is what we do. This is what we do on a regular basis. Me as a transgender person, it felt good to hear that. Because us in a Black community needs to wake the hell up. Wake the hell up. Simple as that. Because I'm tired. I'm tired of our black community shutting down our trans women, shutting down the trans men because they want to live the life that they want to live. They can't get jobs. They can't walk out in public and then feel safe. Because they stay getting targeted every single day. You know how many transgender crimes that happened in this year? That happened in 2022 going into 2023? Plenty. We lose many lives every single day in the LGBTQIA community. It does matter what race you are, RQ. It does matter. It does matter. Because the black LGBTQIA community gets targeted the most. They get targeted the most. Every time I turn around is one of our trans women being slain. The black community is a problem. Like Gabrielle Union said, are you going to have justice for some black people? Or you have justice for all black people? And that meaning transgender people. That's meaning gay people. That's meaning lesbian people. That's meaning bisexual people. That's meaning non-conforming people in the black community. Are we going to have justice for all? Are we going to speak up for all? Not just for some, but for all. Because transgender murders get silent. You don't see them on national television. You don't see it. And that's why I commend Gabrielle Union for what she said. I commend her for that. I commend Dwayne Wade for being a father and protecting his daughter, Zaya Wade, as a black trans girl that's 15 years old, still learning her way in this world. And me as a transgender man myself, I walk out that door every day, scared for my life. I might not show it, but if somebody found out that I was trans, who knows what would happen to me. But I have the courage and I'm brave to go out there and face my fears. And that's what Zaya Wade is doing. And that was Dwayne Wade is doing. That is what Gabrielle Union is doing. So with that being said, in the closing remarks to start this show, are we going to have justice for just certain black people? Or are we going to have justice for all black people? You tell me. You tell me. Because at the end of the day, our voices will be heard. Our voices would definitely be heard. So in the opening remarks to that, I wanted to get that off my chest because that's been on my mind all day long preparing for this show. It's been on my mind all day long. And I ain't even get through every topic that I want to get through. And I'm not, because I spent almost 20 minutes talking about this because it was on my heart. Definitely on my heart. And God bless Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union. I just can't. I'm kind of fathomed for it. I'm kind of fathomed for it. But at the end of the day, justice is for all. So let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into it before I want to get on I didn't want to get on that topic the way I wanted to get on that topic, but I did. And thank y'all for tuning in. And I really do appreciate all y'all coming in to the Darion Hopkins Show. I really do appreciate it, how y'all felt in the opening remarks. I kind of understand that. But let's get straight into some sports. Let's talk about some sports, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about the NFL, right? The NFL, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to talk about a few things here. A few things. Let me just turn this off real quick. Because I don't know why that thing keep going on, but let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. The NFL Combine is this week. Ladies and gentlemen. And we have announced that CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson is going to, and Will Levis will throw at the scouting combine, but Bryce Young won't. So Ohio State CJ Stroud, Florida Gators Anthony Richardson will throw at the combine, while Alabama's Bryce Young will wait to throw at his Alabama Pro Day. That's according to NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero that reported it today, which was Monday. Rappaport adds that although Young has a long past of an AC joint injury from the 2022 season, the 21-year-old will be doing interviews in Indianapolis this week. Now, Anthony Richardson plans to partake in all testing and drills in addition to throwing, according to Tom Pelissero. Kentucky Will Levis will also be throwing at the combine, per Ian Rappaport. Now, Bryce Young is the number 3 overall spot in Jeremiah's ranking of the 2021 Heisman Trophy winner that threw for 3,328 yards, 32 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions this past season with the Crimson Tide. Now, CJ Stroud finished second in the nation in passing with 40 passing touchdowns with 41, with 3,688 yards and 6 interceptions. In the college football Seminole against the Georgia Bulldogs, CJ Stroud threw for 4 touchdowns and rushed for 34 yards in the loss. Now, Anthony Richardson completed his sophomore season with the Gators, throwing for 2,549 yards and 17 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. Richardson opted not to play in the Florida's Las Vegas Bowl game against Oregon and prepared for the 2023 NFL Draft. Now, the NFL Network have over 50 hours of live coverage of the Lucas Oil Stadium and 2023 Scouting Combine beginning Thursday, which is my birthday, March 2nd. This is fun. This is going to be interesting to watch, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be really interesting to watch when it comes to CJ Stroud and these quarterbacks going to be in the combine. I wish I was doing live coverage of the combine, but I'm not, because that's my birthday weekend. My birthday is March 2nd, which is Thursday. So I will not be covering the combine. I will not be live at all for any shows, because Friday will be my last show until I come back March 8th. So hopefully I'm going to have some content for y'all to put up while I'm there. But it's good to see CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson, and Will Levis, but I don't really care for Will Levis because I think he's trash. That's just my personal opinion. I think he's hot garbage. But I love for the Raiders to see this. I really do. I love for the Raiders to see this, because we need to see who's going to be the quarterback at number 7. I don't care who's in free agency right now. I don't care what quarterback is in free agency. We still need to get a quarterback at 7. Simple as that. We still need to get somebody young for the future, because we know Stidham is not going to be the quarterback. We all know, we don't know what the QB carousel is going to look like once free agency starts. And it's going to be very interesting to watch. Very interesting to watch. But I think you have a talent in Richardson. You have a talent in CJ Stroud. You have a talent in Bryce Young. Even Hendon Hooker when he's available, when he's actually physically able to do so after he tore his ACL, from Tennessee. So we have some interesting things to talk about when it comes to them. So make sure y'all go and watch the combine. So Anthony Richardson, Will Levis, and CJ Stroud will be throwing at the combine, and Bryce Young is going to wait till his pro day to throw. So let's get into some NBA real quick, because I know I have someone coming on, which is Aaron from Tacos and Touchdowns. They'll be coming on at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time right here on the Darion Hopkins Show. You don't want to miss that. And when it comes to NBA, this guy, Damian Lillard, is a stud. He's a stud, and he scores his career best 71 points on 13 3-pointers. This guy this is Dame Dollar for you, man. This is Dame Dollar for you. And Dame Dollar knows what he's doing. So when it comes to Damian Lillard, he set a franchise record of career highs with 71 points and 13 3-pointers, and the Portland Trailblazers snap a 2-game skid, 131-114 victory over the Houston Rockets Sunday night. Damian Lillard becomes the eighth different player to score 70 points in NBA history. At the age of 32, he's the oldest player in NBA history with a 70-point game, and the only player age 30 or older to accomplish that feature according to the ESPN Stats and Information Research. And this is what Damian Lillard had to say. He said, "I enjoyed those moments in the game where I'm just going after people," Lillard said, "when I am in attack mode." Now, Damian Lillard ties Cleveland's Donovan Mitchell for the most points in the game this season after Mitchell scored 71 win over the Chicago Bulls on January 2nd. Damian Lillard broke his own franchise mark with 61 points, which he had done twice on a three-pointer with 4:42 left that also topped his career of threes in the game with 11. Now, Damian Lillard did have 13 3-pointers on 22 attempts, and we're only shy of the NBA record that was set by Golden State Klay Thompson in 2018. Now, Thompson Warriors teammate Stephen Curry in 2016 and Chicago Zach LaVine in 2019 also made 13 threes. Now, I'm not going to get all my panties in a bunch, and I'm going to be completely fair when it comes to this. I think it's spectacular that Damian Lillard actually scores 71 points in the game. I'm absolutely happy about that. I think Dame Dollar is one of the best guards in the league, probably the best guard in the league, arguably. But I just don't like the team that he's on, and that's the Portland Trailblazers. I don't think he's going to win a championship there, but he's trying to be loyal, and I can understand that. So he's going to be one of those guards that have all the great accolades besides an NBA Finals. That's just me. That's just me seeing it. He's going to have everything for him to get in the Hall of Fame besides the NBA championships. And people will say, "Oh, he scored 71 points." I understand. I could score 71 points on the Houston Rockets. The Houston Rockets is not great. I understand they was on a two-game losing streak. They needed that bounce back. They needed that spark. Because the Western Conference is stacked, especially Portland's trying to get in the playoffs. They definitely trying to get in the playoffs. But it's the Houston Rockets we talking about, y'all. Can he do this against the elite defense? I mean, he's a hell of a scorer. I'm not taking nothing away from Damian Lillard. Not taking nothing away because this guy's a dog. He's a dog. He's one of the best players in the league that you cannot defend no matter how far he is from the three-point line. He can shoot it from half court with ease and still make a game-winning shot with no problem. But this is the Houston Rockets that have the worst defense in NBA basketball. They're not that great. They're not that great at all. But this is professional basketball at the end of the day. This is professional basketball at the end of the day because they professional players. They got drafted to play this game. So I can't really take nothing away from Damian Lillard in his 70.1 win. I mean, he had 13 3-pointers that tied for the most in NBA history. I'm surprised he didn't get 14 the way he shoots the ball. But congratulations to Damian Lillard, man. You did your thing against the Houston Rockets. We need to see more of it. You know, you tied with Donovan Mitchell from the Cleveland Cavaliers that scored 71 on a bum behind Chicago Bulls. That's just as bad as Houston because I'm not going to get into the Chicago Bulls. I'm just really not. Billy Donovan needs to go. But I'm not going to get into the Houston Rockets either because they ain't doing nothing for themselves either. They ain't doing no damn different. Absolutely not. They're not doing anything different. And a little bit of more NBA news, just to let y'all know that Quin Snyder gets his 5-year deal with the Atlanta Hawks. I knew this was coming. I knew this was coming for Quin Snyder. And he's agreed to a 5-year contract to become the Atlanta Hawks coach and is expected to make his debut on Tuesday at home against the Washington Wizards, sources tell ESPN. Now, the Hawks announced Snyder hiring Sunday, but did not disclose the terms of the contract. Now, the Hawks was pursuing Snyder, which is 56 years old, and immediately And immediately upon firing Nate McMillan 5 days ago and landed a long-term deal with a coach who advanced the Utah Jazz beyond the first round in the Western Conference Finals playoffs 3 times before re-signing in spring. Now, the move takes over the Hawks right away and rooted both desire to make the Eastern Conference playoffs run and give Snyder a chance to implement his program and standards to evaluate the franchise players on the way into the offseason, sources said. Quin Snyder's a good basketball coach. There's been times that the Utah Jazz, when he was there, was number 1 seeds in the West. What's going on, Tyra? What's going on? Thank you for tuning in. But Quin Snyder was that guy, man. He really played. He played some good basketball with those guys over there when they had Jay Crowder and Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. Had plenty of guys over there. So Quin Snyder is going to be a 5-year deal with the Atlanta Hawks. He's going to work with Devontae Murray. He's going to work with Trae Young. He's going to work with John Collins, Clint Capella. Got a nice little team over there. Dallas Mavericks all day. I'm going to get into them too because the Dallas Mavericks, they one of those teams that I was disappointed in yesterday. Absolutely disappointed in yesterday. You had a 20-point lead on the Lakers and lost. And that's not even the part of the topics of the NBA. But the Lakers came back from 23 down to beat the Dallas Mavericks. Kyrie was doing it by himself. Luka was nowhere to be found in the second half. Was nowhere to be found. So I don't know how y'all lost to the Lakers yesterday. I don't know how y'all lost to the Lakers. It's okay. We will get back. We'll definitely get back. Tyra, inbox me too, because we're going to have a Kiki scene edition of the Darion Hopkins show. We definitely going to have a Kiki scene edition. We definitely going to talk some ballroom outside of just talking sports in general. But like I said, Quin Snyder gets a 5-year deal with the Atlanta Hawks, and the Mavericks blows a 23-point lead to the Los Angeles Lakers. So it's going to be very interesting to watch, y'all. Very interesting to watch. And I want to get into some college basketball real quick before we have our guy come on in the next 15 minutes, because I'm trying to get through these topics as quickly as possible, because I started late talking about Zaya Wade and Gabrielle's Union speech. And I hope y'all go back and replay that. I really hope y'all do. So NCAA basketball, March Madness is around the corner, ladies and gentlemen. March Madness is around the corner. And over the weekend, it looked like March Madness. It sure did. It looked like March Madness from top to bottom. How many games went on? Oh, it was so many games that went on. And it went down to the wire. Like Florida State upsetting number 13, Miami. On damn near a half-court shot. That was ridiculous. Oh, that was ridiculous. That was, but Iowa, the University of Iowa, I gotta hand it to y'all. Y'all had one of the best weekends in college basketball, from the women's side to the men's side. Iowa in late threes with 1:30 left in the half, down 13 to force an overtime and beat Michigan State. It was 1:30 left in the half. Michigan State had this game in the bag. And they lose in overtime to a bunch of three-point shooters in Iowa. But I got to commend Iowa. They fought back. They said this game was not over, but it felt like March Madness. Because y'all know I don't really watch basketball until the tournament when it comes to college basketball. I really don't watch till the tournament, because that's where you see the stars that might be going to the NBA next year. You see what they got. But Iowa had the best weekend in college basketball. I'm sorry to say they did. They did. You had the women win on a game-winning shot against Indiana. And then you have not even game-winning shots, game-tying shots to force overtime against Michigan State for the men's. And it all happened in the same building. It all happened, like, it was mind-boggling to watch that all that was happening in the same exact building. I sat there and I really enjoyed my weekend. I really well rested and didn't didn't do much. You know, I was well rested. I just chilled around and watched some sports. I didn't feel like doing no live play-by-plays. I didn't feel like doing none of that. But there was some great basketball on. There was some great college basketball on. It was some great NBA basketball on too. Even though my 76ers lost, in the way they lost, with Jason Tatum hitting the game-winning shot, and then Joel Embiid has 1.3 seconds left. He gets the ball up, and we make the shot. Thought we going into overtime, but no. They said it was no good. It was no good. So we had some very interesting stories in basketball in general and in college basketball. March Madness is here. March Madness is definitely here. So Iowa beats Michigan State. Then you have Florida State that rallies from 25 down to beat the number 13 team in the country in Miami. Down early by 25 early in the second half. They didn't stop. Florida State did not stop playing. They did not stop playing at all. And the Seminoles ended Miami's hopes of a perfect home season. So Matthew Cleveland's three-pointer as the time expired capped off a Florida State comeback from 25 points second half deficit. And the Seminoles stunned the number 13 Miami Hurricanes 85-84 on Saturday. March Madness is here. I'm sorry to say, March Madness is here. I cannot wait until the conference tournament championship starts, especially for my women, because, you know, Tennessee, we gonna be in it regardless. We're going to be in it. I'm nervous in South Carolina. I'm nervous in LSU because the women's side is looking just as good as the men's side. Both games were great. But shout out to Iowa and shout out to Florida State. Shout out to both of y'all for winning y'all games respectively. Not giving up on your games. People think, oh, being down 25 points, this game is over. We could go home. We could leave the bleachers. Nope. And for you to go home when your team was down, you shouldn't even come back. You shouldn't even come back. Now, if I know that I'm down 25 and it's like 52 seconds left, we're not coming back from that. But if you leave with like 10 minutes left in a second half of a college basketball game and they down 25, don't give up on your team. Just don't do it. Or you down the way Iowa was down, don't give up on your team. Don't do it. Because at the end of the day, your team might come back and win. And then you're going to be mad that you can't come back in the building and watch it. So stay around, get your money's worth, and be fine with it. Be absolutely fine with it. Now we go into some more football, ladies and gentlemen. That is the XFL. The week 2 is officially a wrap for the XFL. And we have some very, very decent games. Very, very decent games. Not really too many, but you know, we had one good game between the St. Louis Battlehawks and the Seattle Sea Dragons. And we're going to talk about it. We're definitely going to talk about it when it comes to the XFL. So the recap that I have, that I wrote down the jot's from what I saw in the recap. Now, in the second week of the 2023 XFL season concluded of Sunday night when the smoke cleared on only 3 unbeatens were left standing as the Houston Roughnecks joined the St. Louis Battlehawks and the DC Defenders, the only teams in the league that's 2-0 and that's undefeated. With St. Louis and DC playing earlier in the week, it was between Houston and the Arlington Renegades to see who could keep pace at that distinction when Houston, which should be no surprise to the fans who followed the XFL when they last played 3 years ago. The Roughnecks started the 2020 season 5-0 before it was shut down due to COVID, so they have yet to lose an XFL game. So Houston led 11-0 early lead on Sunday, but it wouldn't be that easy with 2 turnovers that led to 14 points, 14 Arlington Renegade points. My bad. The Roughnecks responded in the impressive second half, led by quarterback Brandon Silvers and Wade Phillip talent defense, which is stacked quarterback sacking Drew Plitt 5 times and intercepted him twice. Now, Silvers wasn't great, but he completed 50% of his passes. And he also took care of the ball and throwing 2 touchdown passes and completing several other big throws in the second half. But the Renegades win and came after San Antonio Brahmas and blew away the Orlando Guardians in Sunday night's game. Orlando is just messed up at the quarterback position. They're just messed up because Orlando received a solid play from quarterback Jack Cohn, who threw 3 touchdowns conversely, and Orlando's unsettled quarterback situation continues to be a major issue, which is Paxton Lynch. Paxton Lynch was benched for a second straight game in the favor of DeAndre Francis, who's like Lynch struggled to move the ball in the air against the San Antonio defense. The Guardians' issues at quarterback continue to negate what has been a solid rushing attack for the last 2 weeks. Now, in the XFL, 2 XFL games that was played earlier in the week, a pair of low-scoring contests provided very difficult stories, and we have to say, the St. Louis Battlehawks 20, the Seattle Seahawks, not Seattle Seahawks, Seattle Sea Dragons, 18. On Saturday, you had the DC Defenders go on the road against the Las Vegas Vipers, which is my team in the XFL. We was able to only score 6 points. The DC Defenders scored 18 unanswered. 18-6. We couldn't score on the board at all for the Las Vegas Vipers, but I would talk about that on the other channel. And then on Sunday, we had the San Antonio Brahmas 30, the Orlando Guardians 12. In the Houston Roughnecks 23 that remains undefeated, beat the Arlington Renegades 23-14. Now, here's my problem real quick with the Orlando Guardians, right? Now, you have a QB situation with that team. And Paxton Lynch, I don't understand how he's still getting a start after 2 weeks. I don't understand it. Now it's time to bench him. If you start him next week, the Guardians is going to be out of it. The Orlando's Guardians is going to be out of it. I think they should have stayed in New York. That's just my personal opinion. I don't think they should have moved to Orlando. But Paxton Lynch is not the quarterback that I thought he was. He's not the quarterback that I thought he was. He had a 1 good year in the NFL with the Denver Broncos, and he has not been the same since. How you start 2 straight games in the XFL and you get benched? I think I need the time to call Carson Wentz. Orlando Guardians, make the call. Because I don't think Carson Wentz is getting another job in the NFL. I don't see it. Carson Wentz is available, XFL. Carson Wentz is available. The Guardians, you need a quarterback. It's time for you to go out and get one. Yeah, DeAndre Francis struggled to throw the ball through the air because the Orlando Guardians got a running game. Oh, they have a running game. Absolutely, they do. But their passing game stinks. The passing game stinks. And Paxton Lynch needs to be benched for the rest of the year. He's not going to help that team win games. He's just not. Just not that good at all. He's garbage. So give a call to Carson Wentz. Give a call to Jimmy Garoppolo. Give a call to somebody that's in free agency for the NFL right now that needs a job. Shit, I'm not going to. Derek Carr. And I'm just trolling at this time. I'm just trolling, I'm just saying. At the end of the day, man, the Guardians need a quarterback, and I think the best available right now is Carson Wentz. I don't see Carson Wentz being in this league, especially in the NFL league, not that long. And speaking of Carson Wentz, before, my guy Aaron from Tacos and Touchdowns come on to the show in 4 minutes, I just want to put a quick thing out there for Carson Wentz. You got released from the Washington Commanders today, bruh. What's your next move? Because you had an MVP year with Philadelphia. And when Nick Foles won the championship for y'all, you was really jaded. You was really upset about it. They put a statue outside of the stadium of Nick Foles and Doug Peterson doing a Philly. You felt underappreciated because you took that team halfway to the Super Bowl until you got hurt. You got hurt, Carson Wentz. So, bruh, what can you be mad for? What can you really be mad for? And then Jalen Hurts took your spot, and he took them back to the Super Bowl, where something that you couldn't do. Then you get traded to Indianapolis. You stink in Indianapolis, Carson Wentz. You stink. They give you the boot. And then you go to the Washington Commanders. Now, I'm going to be completely honest before I add my guy on this show. I thought it was going to be a turnaround for Carson Wentz with the Commanders. I really thought so. I lied to myself. Absolutely lied to myself. He stinked. So I feel like I don't think nobody's going to give him a chance in the NFL. So if I'm the XFL and I'm the Orlando Guardians, I'm calling Carson Wentz because they terrible. The Guardians is just as bad as Carson Wentz. Simple as that. It's a fact. It's a known fact. But Carson Wentz, yeah, you no longer a Commander. So $26.1 million is off the books. So that saves for the Commanders. So good to part ways. Like I said, re-sign Taylor Heineke or make Sam Howell the starting quarterback, one or the other. And I don't know what Carson Wentz is going to do now. But I'm going to say this one time because I know y'all see my Raiders in the background. Las Vegas Raiders, you better not sign Carson Wentz. I'm calling it right now. Don't call him. I don't even want you to text him. I don't want you to email him. Please don't do it. Please. You can have any other quarterback in this league that's a free agent besides Carson Wentz. I'll take Jacoby Brissett over Carson Wentz. I will. I'll take a 18-game injury-prone Jimmy Garoppolo over a Carson Wentz. I would take a Baker Mayfield over Carson Wentz. Dead ass. I will. Because Carson Wentz, his confidence just ain't there. Ever since he tore his ACL, he has not been the same. And I don't think the confidence is there. It's just not. So I just wanted to get that off my chest. Because I'm a diehard Raider fan. And they be like, oh, Carson Wentz to the Raiders. No. If we get Carson Wentz to the Raiders, we are damn well going to be in a hellhole for the next 5 years. Because of Josh McDummy, a.k.a. Josh McDaniels. So, well, okay. So we're gonna get straight down to the nitty-gritty, y'all. My guest is officially here. And he is in the building. He see me in the background. And I see I'm gonna talk about that jersey too. And my guy, Aaron B. from Tacos and Touchdowns. What's going on, brother?
What's going on?
What's up, man? How you feeling this evening? How you feeling, man?
I'm doing pretty good. I had to make sure I put the jersey in so you wouldn't think I'm wearing a Raiders jersey or nothing like that.
I love it, man. You know, I'm a big throwback jersey person. Friday Night Lights. I love it.
Yes, sir.
Hold up. It's not Booby, right?
Oh, it's Booby.
See? Yeah. See? You got the Booby Miles. I love it, man. So what's going on, man? How, how's everything going, with your podcast and everything? And just give the people that is watching and the people that will be listening, give them an introduction. Where did you come up with the name Tacos and Touchdowns? Now, that's absolutely something different I never heard before. I heard so many podcast names from sports people, but Tacos and Touchdowns? You got to explain it, man. How do you come up with the name? How you come up with the podcast and everything of that nature?
Okay, so when it came to the Tacos and Touchdown name, I was basically working at a factory making medical products, and I was just bored, sweeping up a little bit, and I was like, I want to do a football podcast, and I'm like, I'm in Central Texas, and I love eating tacos with my friends and everything, so I was like, okay, we got tacos. I need to come with some tacos and football. That don't sound too good. So I wanted to rhyme, so I was like, you know what, touchdowns. Even though I'm a defensive player back in the days, I was like, I'm going to do tacos and touchdown. And I had one of my friends who was a 49ers fan. We did the show together. Who would have thought a Cowboy and a 49er fan would collab, but we did. he had a kid and everything, so he's been busy with everything. So I kind of just went on my kind of just did it on my own for a while. And I was trying to think of like ideas and stuff. So like nobody really shows love to like the San Antonio area when it comes to football. So I'm talking about like high schools around the area. And then now I'm going to get into the San Antonio Brahmas, but I'm kind of perplexed because my little cousin played for the Guardians.
The Guardians suck, bro. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I can't even talk because I'm a Las Vegas Vipers fan, and I can't even talk because we just as trash too. Like, I really thought it was an interesting name when I saw the tacos and touchdowns. And every time I think of it, it just makes me want to eat tacos. I really don't eat tacos like that, but I haven't had a taco in like who knows when. But hey, man, let's talk about it, especially Texas football, because you know Texas football is like the glory in the state of Texas. If you're not playing football, then I don't know what you're doing if you're not playing football. So knowing that you say you're in San Antonio, right?
I'm in the San Antonio area.
But you're a Dallas fan. So what is going on here? So explain to me, how did you become a Dallas fan? Because you know, as a Raiders fan, I could talk my smack. We beat you on Thanksgiving. So I'm not going to do that on here though, but you know, tell your story of how you became a Dallas fan. Was brought up in Dallas, or was you or were you always from San Antonio?
So both my parents are Cowboy fans, and it's like a split. We got our Texan fans that were / Oiler fans. I was born in 1990, so they weren't the Texans then. And then we had Charger fans because I had family in San Diego at the time. Like between those three, I'm gonna go with the Cowboys. It was the 90s. We were still good. I was like, I'm gonna be a Cowboy fan. Still been there.
Are you one of them delusional Cowboys fans that's like Scooter McGruger? I don't know if you heard of him.
Oh yeah, I know Scooter.
I hope you're not like a delusional fan like Scooter McGruger, man. Because I know Dallas fans. I know y'all probably watching right now or listening right now. I have nothing against the Dallas Cowboys fan, but I think they're a little delusional, just like my Raiders fans. I'm just saying. But you're not crazy as those. You're a more realistic Dallas Cowboys fan, right?
Yeah, I'm more realistic. I want you to, instead of saying we're going to the Super Bowl, I want my team to prove it that they're going to the Super Bowl. Not like, I'm going to put a comment, we're going to the Super Bowl. Like, we haven't been there in 27 years. I want to actually see them going there. Then I'll talk my mess then when it comes to that.
Well, I mean, I got it real tough too, because even though I'm a Las Vegas Raiders fan, I live in Philadelphia.
How'd that happen?
Well, basically what happened is that I have family in Oakland.
Okay.
And as a kid, every summer I used to go out there. And my uncle and my aunts were just diehard Raiders fans. When I say like the face paint, you know how the Raider Nation do when they actually in the stands, with the shoulder pads and the spikes and the crazy stuff.
Yeah.
That's exactly how they was. So me coming over there and they was watching NFL films and looking at the history and the backstory of being a Raiders fan. The commitment to excellence, to just win, baby, to Al Davis, to the John Maddens of the world. It gravitated to me. I couldn't gravitate to being an Eagles fan because they had not done nothing at that time. I'm not saying that about y'all right now. I did go to the Super Bowl, but at that time that I was growing up watching it, the Eagles wasn't doing nothing. So they was losing the NFC Championships games, and they just was at the time they was at Veteran Stadium at the time. And my Raiders was just good. We was good, with the Rich Ganns, the Jerry Rice, the Tim Browns of the world. So many players came through as a Raiders fan. So just going over there and being in the city of Oakland, being on the West Coast every summer as a kid, so I was like the age of 17. That's when I became a diehard Raiders fan around 14 years old. So, and it's been diehard ever since, man. But I get mad backlash, living in Philadelphia and not being a Philadelphia Eagles fan.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that. Like, you're in Philadelphia, they're pretty strong on their being Eagle fans there.
But they give me some little slack because I love my Phillies, I love my Flyers, and I love my Sixers. So they give me some slack. But I said I just was not brought up to be I brought up to wear that green. I was not brought up to be an Eagles fan. It just wasn't happening that way. So speaking of the Dallas Cowboys, though, let's talk about it, man. Because I know the offseason could be pretty interesting for y'all. The draft is coming up, scouting combine is coming up. what position are you looking for in this draft for the Dallas Cowboys to address? Because we all know, I'm gonna get to Dak Prescott. We definitely want to talk about him, but what position do you need to see in the combine, or going into the draft, a position that's a need for y'all right now?
Honestly, as a receiver, of course, we could have. It wouldn't have been a problem if we wouldn't have got rid of Amari Cooper, but that's neither here or there. And then offensive lineman between on the left side. I think Connor McGovern, he's just a rotational guy. I think we could go look at the left tackle, or we could look at the left guard, and then corner two, because Trayvon Diggs got to have another corner on the side. And I'm gonna look at a few linebackers because LVE's cool, but we need to get another guy next to Damone Clark and Micah Parsons. Now, those are my main ones, but the secondary would be like a defensive lineman. If Dalton Schultz is not back, maybe look at some tight ends in day 3. So I'm be looking a little bit everywhere. Hey, maybe even some kickers, to be honest with you, because Brad.
Oh my God, I don't even want to get into the Dallas Cowboy kicker. I don't want to get into it. He had a bad postseason.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he had a bad postseason. So
yeah, I couldn't win.
Yeah, so many points was left on the board because of him.
Yeah.
So many points. But speaking of Dak Prescott, like, what do you think the future of Dak Prescott is? And the reason why I say that is because this is back-to-back years that he played the San Francisco 49ers, and he choked in both games when it mattered. Do you think, even though he's under contract for the next couple of years, do you think that some way they would trade him, some way they would release him? Like, what does Dak Prescott have to do to get over the hump? Because it seems like he just can't get past the divisional or get past the wild card. So what are your thoughts on Dak Prescott going into next season? What you think the Dallas Cowboys should do?
I think honestly get some weapons around him, because he got rid of one of his main weapons. We need to add some go under free agency, not bargain basement. Look at some top receivers, I would say look one in the draft, but just try to re-up that offensive line. They're getting older, and we dealt with injuries. But when it comes to Dak, I think he needs like another backup quarterback that's like could actually challenge him. Because I know they were trying to say CJ Stroud going to the Cowboys, but that's definitely, highly doubt that one. Hendon Hooker from Tennessee is a possibility, or Max Duggan in day 3, but they just need somebody that kind of lights a fire or something like that. But honestly, I still think he's a good quarterback, but I think when it comes to him, it's just like he had dealt with the injuries, but it's no excuse. It's like if you can come back and everything, you just I don't know. He needs to get past the divisional. Like, it's been against the 49ers, and I feel like if we go to the playoffs again next year, it's going to be the 49ers again. It's just like, can you get past this team? Like, this team in general, it's just not just Dak. It's like the defense was doing well, but you got to have the offense. It's got to be on all cylinders. It's got to be a cohesive thing.
Now let's get to your running backs, because this is another issue that's been going on with the running backs. Now we know Tony Pollard is coming off of an injury. Zeke Elliott has not been himself for a long time now, and he's getting paid mad money being that starting running back. What y'all going to do at the running back position? Do y'all feel like if Tony Pollard is fully 100%, do you feel like they need to start him over Zeke because he's more of a change of pace back that like he gives power, but he gets speeds. He could get to the outside quicker than Zeke Elliott, because don't get me wrong, Zeke Elliott is a good running back. I don't know if he's he used to be a top 5 running back in this league, but I see him on the decline. But do you feel like you see any running backs in the draft that you want to get, like a Bijan Robinson, which is the top running back on a lot of prospects list? Or you stick with Zeke and Tony Pollard and just have them as a 1-2 punch?
When it comes to Zeke, I think it's just time to let him go before it gets to, because he's already at sub 4. I think he averaged like 3 yards this year, and you're paying him a lot of money, and all he's doing is getting you a couple 1 or 2 yards. Like, You're spending almost $90 million. It was his contract. It's just time to let him go. And when it comes to Pollard, I heard Stephen Jones talking about like they're likely going to tag him, so that'd be $10 million. I think when it comes to Pollard, I think they learned from having these running backs. Maybe we should just have them on a short-term basis because running back, it's like a short sell position. Like you get the best 3 to 4 years out of them. And honestly, when it comes to, I wouldn't mind a Bijan Robinson. Watching him at the University of Texas, Jahmyr Gibbs is a possibility. TJ was another one? Zach Charbonnet out of UCLA. Because there's a deep running back class. You can go on day 3 and find a good one. And you're looking about in these 2 Super Bowl teams that played this year, they didn't have a top-tier running back. They had Isaiah Pacheco, who was a 7th round, and Gainwell was a 4th or 5th round pick out of Memphis. Like, why don't we just have running back out of committee, not just utilize just one running back? It's like, if we have Pollard back, draft one in between the 2nd and 5th and had a good rotation. We're going to be in a West Coast offense. We just need had a running back that can go outside and can be a receiver, be the running back. Does have versatility.
Absolutely. And I actually have to agree there because Isaiah Pacheco is from New Jersey. And, one of my good friends know who he is because she's from that area.
Okay.
So, I mean, he definitely did his thing. I don't like the damn Chiefs anyway. I wish the Eagles would have won the Super Bowl. I'm just saying. I know you happy the Eagles didn't win. And
yeah,
I know, you was happy that the Eagles didn't win, but I was mad that the Eagles didn't win because I hate the Chiefs. So, I mean, it sucks in that way. But I agree, man. Running back by committee is what it is now in the NFL. Is only a few common teams that have one running back. I mean, you do have Joe Mixon that gets majority of the carries in Cincinnati, but he still has Samaj Piron to come in when he needs it.
Yeah.
But you see in Philadelphia, you have Miles Sanders, Kenneth Gainwell, Boston Scott.
Yeah.
And then on Kansas City side, they would have had Clyde Edwards-Helaire if he wasn't injured with Isaiah Pacheco. So that would have been and they had Jerick McKinnon, another one. So they had some running backs by committee, and that's why the NFL is so running back deep now, because you just don't have that one guy that's going to carry the ball 30 times a game anymore. You just don't see that. If you might see it in college football, but you in the pros, you're not going to see that, So I thought it was pretty interesting, what you said. I think if y'all could get Bijan Robinson in a late round, I'm telling you right now, that guy is going to be a stud. He's going to be a stud. He's a you could tell he's a Texas baller, man. You could tell he played at the University of Texas for a reason, So yeah, so let's get to it, man, because I don't know I don't know how much basketball you know. You got a basketball team?
I'm a San Antonio Spurs fan.
Okay. I'm not listening. I listen, I understand Greg Popovich is a GOAT, man. He's a GOAT.
He is.
And it's a rebuilding year for y'all for the San Antonio Spurs. My brother's a Spurs fan as well.
Okay.
Yeah, my older brother's a Spurs fan.
Right.
Yeah. It's my family's weird, bro. So let me just break it down for you before we get into that. I'm a Raiders fan in football. Love Phillies, Flyers, Sixers. That's my all 4 teams. My brother's a Niners fan. Yes, my brother's a Niners fan. But he rocked with the San Antonio Spurs. I think he liked the Phillies and the Flyers, if I'm not mistaken. Another weird thing. My dad loves all 4 teams from Philly. Eagles, Sixers, Flyers, Phillies. Okay, cool. My mom, she going to rep the city regardless. But she like Baltimore Ravens and the Seattle Seahawks. I don't think she knows as much as baseball, basketball, any of that interest, because mainly every week our house is divided, basically.
I can see the why.
Basically, our house is divided every week in the NFL. So that is the breakdown of that. But as far as the San Antonio Spurs go, what are your thoughts on this season for them? Even though they're not playing great basketball right now, what future you see for the Spurs? Because I don't know if this is Greg Popovich last year. I don't know when he's going to retire. But do you see him rebuilding for the future and setting it up for another coach that comes in after him?
Yeah, that's what I see is happening right now. I don't think when Pop retires, I don't think he's like gonna leave the Spurs. I think he's gonna have like some front office because the man loves basketball. He's been
Mhm.
for the Spurs since the mid to early '90s. It's like honestly, I think he's just rebuilding the team, and I think that honestly, the head coach on the team is between maybe a Britt Brown or Mitch Johnson, who's been an assistant. I thought it was actually going to be Becky Hammond, but she ended up taking the job for the Las Vegas Aces. And those were my three candidates I was thinking about. But I think honestly, they got all this draft capital. I honestly think they're going to try to go for Victor. I don't want to butcher his name, the one out of France. I think that's the guy they're trying to go after. I don't want to butcher the man's name.
Mm. So how do you feel about the, what's his name? Devontae or DeJounte Murray?
Oh, Devontae Graham?
Yeah, how you feel about, the Spurs treating him to Atlanta? I know that was like y'all star player.
Oh,
like how you feel about that?
At first, I was upset about DeJounte Murray leaving. And then when he got on these podcasts, I was like, oh, okay, getting all these issues and stuff. He just didn't want to be with the Spurs. I was like, okay, I understand. It's a part of the business. But I was at first, I like, then after it happens, I'm like, okay, we're just trying to do a rebuild. I'm not a huge fan of the rebuild because you're like, oh, the Spurs are doing good in the first half, and then at the end of the game, we lost by 15 because I was like, I'm just not used to this. I'm like, I remember the big three, like the Tim Duncans, the Manu Ginobilis, the Tony Parkers, and we're going to the finals every 2 to 3 years. Like, I miss that as a San Antonio Spurs fan. So it's been kind of rough. So I've been like, my mind just been focused on football. But when I catch a Spurs game, I'm going to watch it. It just, even though it's I'm just not used to the losing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I can understand that, but let's talk about it. Like you said, you're a San Antonio Brahmas fan. I actually did a live stream, I think in week 1. I did the game. And week 1, I did the game, not on this channel, but it was another channel that I do my live commentary on. And they're not a bad football team. I think it was against the Battlehawks, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was against the Battlehawks.
Yeah, Battlehawks.
Oh, see, I was kind of mad how y'all lost that game to the Battlehawks. So, what is your expectations for the San Antonio Brahmas? Like, what are your expectations for them? Because I see the talent. You got what's his name? Kevin Ballage, Kalen Ballage, the running back. That used to be the former Miami Dolphins running back, which is he's pretty solid player. You have I think Jack Cohn is your quarterback.
Out of Notre Dame.
Out of Notre Dame. So y'all got some players. So, like, what is your expectations for this XFL season for San Antonio?
I think they're going to be a really good team. I think they're kind of be in that middle this year because I think on offense they're still trying to figure it out. Because in that week 1, I like, man, the defense is doing well. Like, I started having a favorite player on that defense on the defensive line, Mike Scott. Like, he showed some work there, but it was like, okay, we're about to beat the Bot-Hawks, and then like that third and fourth quarter, and you see Ricky Prohl Jr. Get that big catch. I was like, man, that defense got tired trying to hold this team together in that fourth quarter, and then lo and behold, but it's been some damn good games when it comes to the XFL because a lot of people are like, oh, there's gonna be some low tier football, but no, they've been showing out like they showing that they got that hunger. I don't know if it was that the Rock speeches before the season or something like that, but it's been overall good football.
And the reason why I feel like it's good football, and a lot of people sleep on the XFL because it's not the moderate of what the rules are in the NFL or how the standard is in NFL. You know how you score, you get the extra point and all that. But I think it's so fascinating, and I think it's so different that it makes the game more exciting where you could go for 3 points. We go for 2 points. And if you want to go for a 1 point and not have to kick it to go for the 1 point, that's your option. The only thing that I can say the cons about the rules is the option to onside kick or go for it on 4th and 15. I think y'all was kind of like a testimony to that. The Battlehawks scored, and they opted not to do the onside kick, but go for it on 4th and 15 and get it. And go down the field and score a touchdown with Austin Pearl, again, Ricky Pearl's son, scores. So I think that's the only thing that I have the cons about with the ruling. I like the fact that you see people in the booth discussing with the refs, something the NFL would never do. That's why I feel like sometimes the NFL was rigged in some ways. You can actually hear the refs talk in the huddle of what happened on the play. And you know what? Then another thing, they actually let them play. You don't see a lot of flags in the XFL.
That's a big plus.
So that's what I love about it. I think the physicality makes it exciting. It reminds me of some games on Friday Night Lights, just like you got on the jersey.
Yeah, it's
really physical. In the XFL.
Yeah, it's an aggressive style of football, and like you're saying, it's more pure football than the NFL, because you'll never hear a conversation going on in the NFL because there's somebody and you think some people then threw a couple of dollars to the other team so we can win it or something like that. It's just pure football.
Joe, it is so true, man. That it makes me think about the NFL. Like, y'all, is it money involved? Like, because we see like all access, like we hear the players call the plays, we hear the audibles, we see up in the booth or up whatever Dan Blandino is at doing a replay. Is so different. And that's why I think it's so refreshing for the game of football. That's why I kind of like the USFL as well. I didn't have no issues with them. And it's going to be very interesting to watch this year for the USFL. Do you got a team over there too?
USFL, I'm kind of, it's between the Houston. I'm always, when it comes to the teams, I always want to be like, could I actually go to this game? So I'm going with the Gamblers. They didn't do so well this year, but we'll see what they got.
Well, my squad, Philadelphia Stars, of course,
Okay.
They mostly brought back the iconic teams back for the USFL. So that's going to be dope to watch in April. I cannot wait to see that. So, there's some other questions that I did have for you because, being in this industry in itself is really tough. It's really tough, when you got to put your own shows together, got to put your own shows together, do the concepts, do the editing. What keeps you going, man? Because I run 2 channels, and just a little small story. I run 2 channels, and one is just, I talk majority all football. I talk all football on that channel, but this is just sports and entertainment. But I know that, Touchdown and Tacos is it strictly just football, right?
It's strictly football, but then I want to kind of get into the food side as well.
Okay.
Kind of be something different as well.
Right. What's going on, Dominique 5? What's up, man? What's going on? But what keeps you going? Even though that your other friend, he being busy with the children and everything of that nature. Individually, what keeps you going every single time? Like, I got to make this content, or what is it that pushes you to keep doing this, even though that your friend is not around to do the podcast with you?
I think honestly, what keeps me going is like watching something you actually built, even though it was not just by you, but on my own now. It's just like you actually getting to see like the development of something going on. Like a lot of stuff you don't have a control over, but having a podcast where you get to meet people from all around the world. I didn't have people from other countries on the show, people from other states. It's just like you get to meet people that they're like like-minded people, and you just don't. It's just fun because I always loved sports, but I never thought about it like. It wasn't. What was it, like 10 years ago? You didn't think about a podcast. You were like ESPN's, but now you can actually build your own show and you can talk. Yeah, you're not getting the big bucks like the ESPN's, but you could grow into something where this could be a full-time thing for you. It just takes time, and I just love the process of this podcast.
Absolutely. You know what? I think a lot of our creativity came when the pandemic came.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people opened up a podcast, and a lot of people didn't finish their podcast. So from from me to you and me, being in this industry since 2016, just keep going, brother. I do this on my own. I do all my own editing. I do all my own graphics. And YouTube is the learner of everything. If any podcaster is listening to this or watching this, YouTube teaches you everything. Learn how to do better shorts, learn how to do better videos, learn how to edit your clips, learn how to do graphics like this. It's all on YouTube. And that's all I really, gotta say, man, because it's tough out here. Everybody wants to be a sports podcaster now.
Oh, really?
Everybody wants to do it. Everybody think it's a saturated community. And I think it's not. And I think with tacos and touchdowns, you bring in something as a different niche that I have not seen since 2016. Yeah, I seen food and sports channels, but they talked about wings or they talked about other foods, but nobody really talked about tacos. So you got something going there. So just keep going at it, man. Keep going at it.
Thank you.
So my final question before we head out of here, because it's getting late for me, because I got to be up at 5 o'clock in the morning and still do this on a regular basis. My last question for you: what are your goals as a podcaster? Where is that reach where, yeah, I've made it? What is that number one goal for you?
My number one goal is to do this full time and just to collab with others and honestly, I want to do like draft things, like draft shows and all that. And I just want to go like out into the community and to go interview kids at the high schools that are near me and everything. Just be exposed, not just for me, just like, okay, there's really good talent out in this area. I know everybody shows love to Houston, Dallas, and a little bit of Austin, but San Antonio, it's on the up and coming. Like UTSA has got a really good football team out here.
Mm-hmm.
University of Concord. I'm just kind of naming teams and everything. It's just like, and honestly, want to get and we got a lot of great podcasters out here as well. Just I want to collab with much as people as I can, but when it comes to working that job and stuff, it's like short on time, but it's just like I just enjoy the process of what's going on because I feel like it's a slow growth, but that's better than just kind of how some people try to get paid to get followers. No, I want to get like the organic way.
Right. You want to do it organically, and that's how I am with it. Is doing it organically, and help it other podcasters do it organically too. Because I had a whole network at one point, so I was trying to help them do it organically. So I mean, unfortunately, it's just me now doing everything. But hey, I'm fine. I'm fine with that. I started this YouTube thing by myself. I'm going to end it by myself. I just helped a lot of people up upon the way, and collabing with other people is a very smart thing to do. It helps you grow your audience. It helps you grow and get you out there. No matter how many people are watching, somebody's going to watch it eventually. Somebody's going to listen eventually. So I get it, man. To do this full time, which I did before during the pandemic, it was tough. It was tough, but now, since the world is back open again, hey, it's a little tougher now. So that's why I end up going back to work. But Aaron, I want to thank you for coming on, brother, and telling your story and tell your background, in podcasting and stuff of that nature, man. It really was an honor for me to reach out to you and talk some sports, talk other things, a little bit of basketball as well, so it's gonna be interesting. I don't know if you watching March Madness, because I know it's gonna be a lot of Houston teams, a lot of Texas teams is going to be in March Madness. You looking forward to that?
Oh yeah, I'm like you were saying, when it comes, I watch college basketball when it comes to the March Madness. I always do the brackets, even though my brackets are busted in the first round, but I still have fun with it. So I just enjoy it. Like you go see a game at 11 o'clock, I'm like, cool, let's watch that. Even if I'm in my car with my phone and watching, like it just honestly just fun. That's when I think college basketball is like at its highlight.
Yeah, absolutely, man. But again, man, I want to thank you for coming on, taking time out your day, rocking, the Paraman, the Booby Mouse throwback jersey. I'm kind of jealous, man. I gotta get that because I'm a jersey collector as well. I got the Cam Newton Auburn college jersey. I got a Gale Sayers, Chicago Bears jersey, the Super Bowl patch. Have that. So I got a few throwback jerseys, but that's one of the main ones I need to go get, man. It's definitely a Booby Miles jersey, man. But again, thank you for coming on and taking time out your day to be on the show, man.
Absolutely. If you ever need me back on the show, talk anything about football, or hell, if you want to talk about tacos, we could do that as well, to be honest with you.
Absolutely, man. But before you head out of here, for any viewers, for any listeners that's watching, let them know where they can find you at.
Okay, so on Twitter, you can check me out at Tacos and Touchdown, capital 2 T's. Instagram, lowercase Tacos and Touchdowns. And on Facebook and on YouTube, Tacos and Touchdown Live. And I'm also slowly creating a second page called TNT Sports Media. So we're going to have like interviews and everything when it comes to that, and showing like some films at maybe some games out here. And so, yeah, it's slowly growing, but it's going to take time, but I enjoy it.
Absolutely, man. So make sure y'all go follow him on all the social media platforms. This man is growing, and he's going to get there, y'all. He's going to get there. Just be patient with him, and just go follow him on all social media platforms and all streaming platforms as well. But thank you again, Aaron, for coming on to the show. And it's been fun, man. And we'll definitely talk behind the scenes about some more stuff. And I'm looking forward to it. Having you back on the show.
Absolutely, I appreciate you for having me on your show.
Absolutely, man. I'll talk to you later.
All right, talk to you later.
And that is my guy, Aaron from Tacos and Touchdowns. Really do appreciate him coming on to the show. It's been a really, really dope show. It's been a really, really fun show. And I really appreciate everybody for tuning in to a great episode 11 of the Darion Hopkins Show. So before we get out of here, I just have to plug this in real quick. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and Twitter at the D Hopkins Show. Make sure if you want to donate to the channel, you can go to Cash App with the $ D Hopkins Show, PayPal, D Hopkins Show. If you want to listen to us on Spotify, if you want to listen to us on Apple Podcasts, make sure you go to the Darion Hopkins Show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Listen to the audio podcast of that. If you want to subscribe to us on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube at the Darion Hopkins Show. And for anybody that wants to use live concerts, sporting events, anything of that nature, if you want to go to a comedy show or a music concert or a football game, baseball game, or a hockey game, make sure you go to SeatGeek.com and use the promo code at checkout, which is SRT, to get your first $20 off your first purchase. Is SRT as the promo code for SeatGeek.com. And I want to thank everybody for being on here for another episode of the Darion Hopkins Show. I am Darion of the Darion Hopkins Show, and I will see y'all on Wednesday with another podcast for episode 12. And I'll see y'all later. Peace out, love, and blessings, and have a great night. Peace.